Oh, good morning everyone. So today I'm going to go for a little ride. Last week I managed to pass my Mod 1 and Mod 2, so I'm now no longer on the L plates, which gives me a little bit more freedom, especially on the 125. Hoping that in the next few months I can get myself a nice bigger bike, something with a bit more oomph. Anybody that rides any of these Sinnises or any 125 in general really will understand that they don't really have the power to pull the skin off a rice pudding, but it's done me well. I've got no complaints about the bike at all. You know, it is a Chinese bike after all, and everybody thinks all Chinese bikes are gonna crumble into the ground within 6 months. Well, to be honest, I've only had one issue on this bike, and it was the the cylinder head temperature sensor. Bit of a common fault with these old Suzuki engines that they fit on them, but that was quickly fixed. Part came across from China into the UK and fixed. It actually took two to fix it. The first one that came was actually defective, so they had to order another one in, but I have had no issues other than that one thing, and I could still ride the bike with it. It's just it was showing that the engine was at minus 25, but it's air cooled engine anyway, so there's not much really that can go wrong with it. So yeah, just over fuel a bit on startup until it warmed up, and once it had warmed up it was fine, but it would show minus 25 as you were about to start it, so it would over fuel like hell, and all you could smell was the fuel, but it was still safe to ride. So yeah, I've had that done, and done 1,000 miles since I've had that fixed, and had no issue since. So today I'm going to go for a little ride up to the Baffle House, one of my local little biker stop-offs. Go and get myself a hot chocolate on this cold Sunday November morning. So yeah, come on, have a look. I thought I was classed as slow moving. This guy's taking the biscuit. Anyway, let's get on with our travels. So yeah, going back to the bike, I'm 4,000 miles in now, and that's the only little niggle I've had, which didn't actually stop me from riding the bike, which I'm happy about. I don't ride this bike every day, probably 2 or 3 times a week, depending on the weather. I have got a car as well, which I can drive to work. Mostly use this bike for commuting, so it gets quite a bit of use, but it's not an everyday bike. If I get myself a bigger one, it will become an everyday bike. Still get freaked out by the tyres on this. 4,000 miles in, and they don't even look like they've been used. They're such a hard compound that they just don't wear down. It's nuts. And they, well, to say they're crap in wet weather would be an understatement. They're good in the dry, you know, they're good. They were great through the summer. This bike got thrown into corners and thrown out of corners. Had a great laugh on it through the summer in the warm weather, but wet weather they're terrible. But yeah, still get the brake squeal. So yeah, passed my Mod 1 and Mod 2 the other week, and it still feels alien that I can be on a bike, any bike out there, and be legal. It's quite crazy. But the bike school I went with, I would say is probably the best, or at least one of the best, in Wales and the southwest. B Bikers. They've got a great team of instructors, all the way from CBT up to you know, full motorcycle Mod 1, Mod 2, and they do all the extra training as well. I did the majority of my training all the way from CBT with Mark, and had absolutely no issues at all. Great advice, fantastic customer service. The day I passed my Mod 1, I had an email probably 20 minutes after I passed the Mod 1 saying, we've got Mod 2 dates available for next week if you want it. Well, anybody that knows how backlogged the motorcycle examination route is at the moment, I jumped on that. I jumped on the opportunity to get my Mod 2 done basically within 10 days of passing my Mod 1. And I'm loving it. As you can see, I haven't got the power for overtakes, and that's a learner. Come on, Sinnis. So yeah, they're absolutely great customer service, great after test advice as well. You know, I've spoken to my instructor a few times since doing my test on you know, advice on bigger bikes. I still don't know what I'm going to go for yet. I haven't quite decided. I do feel though, since doing my Mod 2, I'm going to go for something a bit more upright. I'm not going to go for a cruiser. I'm going to go for an adventure style bike, possibly a Versys or a V-Strom, you know, 650. Something with a bit of power. Yeah, I did my Mod 1 and my Mod 2 on a Kawasaki Z650, and I did like that bike, but I don't think I'd want to own one of those bikes as an everyday ride. It's not my kind of thing. I'm not really into the naked bikes. They do nothing for me. They do nothing for me, the naked bikes. Obviously, everyone's personal preference, of course. But no, it's not the kind of bike I'd go for. Plenty of power in that Kawasaki 650 engine, but not the kind of bike for me. We're going back to the Sinnis now. Sorry, went a bit off topic there. I've had no issues with it at all. I did all the common things that Chinese bikes are, you know, renowned for: crap chains, crap sprockets, underpowered. I've kind of addressed those things, except for the sprocket. I didn't change the rear sprocket because I didn't want to mess around with the gearing ratios too much. But the front sprocket I changed. I went from a 13 to a 14. That's made hell of a difference. It's not so quick off the line, but for me, most of the roads I ride to work are a 50-mile-an-hour limit. So it's just having that little bit of extra pace for top end I needed, because I felt that this bike, when it was on the 13 tooth, you'd be at 50-55 and it would be screaming. But now it'll sit at 50-55 in 5th gear quite easily, quite happily, and it's not so high a revving. Obviously I'm judging the revs by ear. I can't judge it by revs, because, you know, the actual RPM, because I don't have a rev counter, but I can just tell through the vibration. And and the actual tone of the engine, I can tell that it's not revving as highly at those speeds. And then the chain, I went for a heavy duty DID chain over the Chinesium thing that they put on it. I don't know why they put such terrible chain. I know it's obviously cost, but I don't know why, because the Outlaw is more the premium bike of the Sinnis lineup over the Hoodlum. That's going to be a bit controversial now, me saying that, isn't it? It's the more premium bike. I don't know why they don't put a DID chain on them. They're only like 40-50 quid, and they'll buy them in such bulk that they'd probably be getting them for pennies, the amount they buy, if they went straight to the supplier. So that's one thing I don't understand about some of the Chinese bikes, is just upgrade the drivetrain on them. They don't need to have such crap chains. So that I've addressed. The front sprocket I've addressed. Went up from a 13 to a 15. Sorry, to a 14. I was thinking of doing the 15. They put the 15 on the terrain, on the Sinnis terrain, but I thought I don't want to change it too much. One tooth will be enough. I don't want to put too much strain on the engine. I am a big lad, I mean, I don't want to put too much strain on the engine, but this thing, it gets me about. I've had no issues at all with it. Right, let's go and get ourselves a hot chocolate. Not far from the Baffle House now, so just down this road slightly. It's not the best of weather today. I should have put my winter gloves on, really. I'm a bit silly. I got my summer gloves on, my Oxford summer gloves. I bought some new winter gloves last week. Some new Oxford ones, the Montreal 4s. If anyone's interested in having a look, they're only like cheap. They're about 50 quid. But they're very, very, very thick material. They're very stiff, and it's quiet yet. And they're not the best feeling gloves yet until they've softened up a bit. So I decided not to wear them. My old gloves absolutely stink. My old gloves absolutely stink, so I can't really wear them. They're not they're not nice smelling. You take your gloves off and your hands absolutely stink. But yeah, I should probably wear those instead of these summer gloves, because my hands are hurting. They are hurting now. But I'm going to go and warm them up round a nice hot chocolate now. So let's go on in. Right, so I didn't want to film inside. There was family in there with kids. I thought they were screaming. But the win, got myself a hot chocolate. Best hot chocolate I've ever had in Baffle House. I love it up here. I'm not a coffee drinker. They do some nice coffees, but I'm not a coffee drinker, so it's pointless me going for a coffee. Can't stand the stuff. But hot chocolate is the win. Very quiet up here today, though. Don't know if the weather's put people off, or Motorcycle Live's on this weekend. I think it's still on for the Sunday the 26th today. I think it's still on. I think it's the last day of it, so a lot of people might have gone up there. But I think the weather's put a lot of people off. Still early. It's only 10 o'clock. Right then, let's take a ride home, is it? I've had my fill of hot chocolate. So let's have a nice little ride home now then. Audi R8 by there. £41,000. Bargain. thank you very much for coming along for the ride with me today. I think I'll call that a day. I was going to go a little bit further afield, but I'm freezing. I think the time has come to put the winter linings in and start wearing my winter gloves more often, because I'm freezing. But anyway, thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. They're closed on a Sunday, are they? Oh, that's a shitter. Fucking brakes are squeaking like fuck on this.